let's see, we start out with the roll call, please.
Chair Strickland,
Here.
Vice Chair Trainer. Here. Commissioner Clemens.
Here.
Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Liker.
Here.
Commissioner Madrid.
Here.
Commissioner Nevitt. Commissioner Owens.
Here.
And Commissioner.
Okay, Alice, would you lead us in a pledge?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone. We had a conflict in the library, and so the meeting had to be changed. Location change. And then there's going to be one other date.
Carolyn was looking into that.
Oh, okay.
And actually, you know what, we're good on the other date, I believe it's in May, and we're gonna be, instead of meeting room B, we'll be across the hall in meeting room A, so we're good to still use the library on that. So, it's in May, I'll give you a heads up.
Okay, has everybody read the minutes of the previous meeting? Do we have any corrections or additions? Got a motion? I make a motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from the January 9th meeting. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Do we have any public comments? Okay. Oh, my goodness. Okay, Renee, do you have a report?
So I just wanted to give a little preview. We have a Bring a Friend program, I'm calling it, because that's the easiest way to understand. It's, we're going to have some flyers ready, and they will basically be an opportunity for our current participants to bring a friend that hasn't attended any of our programs, and they will get something in return. So here are the coffee cups that are, and you can check these out. The path merch, just check them out afterwards. But basically, if you refer somebody, you'll fill out your name and information on the back of this postcard, hand it off to a friend. When your friend comes in with that postcard, they will get one of these coffee cups, and also the referred individual or the referee will get a choice of coffee cups also. And in that, then once that individual comes to our programs, they will get a welcome packet. So we're going to have some folders that have all of our information and our services, along with some of the BC AAA magazine will be in it, and a few other things. So we're going to have these welcome packets for new participants going out. We were hoping to kick it off tomorrow at our Valentine's Day party, since we'll have the large crowd there. However, we're still waiting for the folders and the flyers to be printed. So once those are printed, we'll be able to kick this off fully. I'll bring back the flyers and the folders to the commission so you can see the final product. But I just wanted to give a little heads up. The commission staff, along with Pepperdine, collaboration of all of our minds brought this program to get new participants in. So,
Is that gonna be one day or 1 week?
no, it's going to be until supplies last. We have 300 cups, so we're looking at 150 new participants coming up. We might run a few campaigns with it, but we do have quite a few.
Pineapple logo.
Overnight. You'll have X amount of cups of the servers,
Yes.
and they
Yes.
don't have to go to a specific place, just to the center,
Correct,
any center.
correct,
This to be never
correct.
Never.
Never attended, a new participant. Yes, so think about your friends that
And
never.
we had one without the coming, but like that month.
Oh.
It's,
But you're gonna have to bring a new friend.
yeah.
Better start making some friends.
Did you point out the logo?
We have our City of Oxnard Senior Services and our phone number on the front of the cups. And on the back is our slogan. It's learning and socializing, never grow old. So on both of the cups.
That's it. That's your report?
Yes.
Stick it to it. Okay, we have our ceremonial calendar. We would like to honor the participants or the committee for the 2017 holiday.
A couple of things brought in the trophy.
So this is the second place trophy that we won with our float, our holiday float this year. Many people were here, participated in making this happen. So it's displayed in IDA's office if anybody wants a closer look to it.
So the volunteers met how often and what did they do?
Oh gosh, how many times a week? Almost every day towards the end. I know that long hours.
Alice is gonna.
We started the last. Every week in November. And then the parade's the first Saturday in November. Some of these volunteers, especially the men here, they work like 70, 75 hours. It seems like a lot, but it's daily, the whole month of November. And some, did a few hours, but I then needs to be recognized because she did all the designing and drawing. And they had it up in the stage, and she did in here, the deep drawing and stuff. And then Anthony and Adrian did all the cutting, the cutting in it, the cardboard cutting in it. So it's a lot of work, but it's fun, and we thoroughly enjoy it. So thank you.
Go ahead. So we have some certificates for our volunteers. So if you can come up and grab your certificate from Alice and then go ahead and stand against this wall so we can get your picture.
Okay, Alice Madrid, the. The instigator. Thank you, Alice.
Glad to stay with you up here.
Anthony Romero.
Anthony, he's the one that did all the cutting, all the cardboard cutting.
Amelia Rivera. There's so many certificates here. Art Rivera. is not here. Adrian Senegal.
He also made over 70 hours. Very much.
Thank you.
Fernando.
He was our soldier, our military representative.
Jean Reed. Joanna Davalos. Thank you, Joanna. Josie Flores. Joyce. Lourdes, where are you? Oh, Lourdes. Marta Maida. Not here. Pat Esperanza.
She in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Oh, tell her we need her. Rosalie Perez
Got a dog certificate.
and Bandy Lee.
Hey,
Bandy Boots, right? Did you see her first?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay, and Pat's on her way. Well, thank you. We were right in front of you at the Christmas parade. I think you guys were having the most fun of anybody.
And we had a flat tire.
I know.
Did you notice
You
that?
made the tire flat?
We were so heavy.
Let me get you to just step back in this little area and I'll get a group photo here.
Is that better or would the bulletin board be a better bet?
Or in front of the flag.
Here comes Pat.
I want them to step over this cord. Here, I'll add this. Let's try and get past this, go to. There we go. Okay. Right here. Scoot over, scoot over, scoot over, scoot over.
Well, you have to practice.
Thank you so much. That's your certificate of appreciation.
All right, everyone, 1, 2, 3.
And then we'll ask you to autograph this. Okay, next year, we're gonna win first place, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome to stay for our meeting. You might learn something or you can leave if you don't.
You wanna
You
go?
want to stick around? Or, yeah, and there's cookies, all sorts of snacks, and tangerines from my tree, so help yourself. The tangerines have lots of seeds, but don't spit them on the floor. Okay. Moving right along. We had a couple of meet long-term goals, and so we're gonna review those.
So let's do some.
Oh.
I saw a horn, I thought we were done. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, so next item on the agenda, as Alice just mentioned, is the grantee award reception, which is February 27th at 10:30 here. It's going to be at the Lawn Bowls Clubhouse, which is right across the way. February 27th at 10:30 a.m. It's a Tuesday. February 27th. So at 10:30 a.m.
Anyone is there.
So it's an option if whether or not you want to attend. I will ask that if you are interested in attending, please just give me a heads up. If we have a quorum or more, I will need to place a special agenda out. So I'll send out an email asking you to RSVP if you can attend when it gets closer. But this is a PowerPoint. It's not a final draft on this. It is a rough draft. So basically, we're going to go over the intent of the program, our objectives, how the funds will be, the expectations of how the funds are to be used. The 2 reports, I will be adding in the presentation calendar here, but thank you. Really, the big item on this one is the roundtable. So really bringing the agencies together and giving them an opportunity to share what they do amongst one another and become aware of each other's services. So this again is going to be on the 27th. I've also left at your little area thank you. The grant reports. So this is the interim and final report. Based off of your feedback, I created this report. One thing that I have heard over and over is to keep these reports as simple as possible, but also to get some information as to how the funds are being used. So this page here that says Senior Services Commission Grant Report is going to be what is used for the interim and final report. It's a total of 11 questions. And something simple that can be filled out both for the interim and the final report purposes. Look over both of these. If you have any suggestions or comments, you can shoot me an email, give me a call. But this is what it looks like and what will be presented.
I really like the roundtable idea.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that they all know what everyone else is doing.
Right.
To encourage them.
And at this time, we have received all grant letters, grant award letters back from the agencies, and we've requested from our end of finance for the funds to be dispersed. So they should receive the funds if they haven't already anytime.
That's all. You having a rough morning?
I am. Where's not gonna want to see.
My date is November, could we report my run
Yes.
in November?
Yes. Yes. And there was St. John's was scheduled to report this month, but I'm gonna move them to next month so they get this reception and everybody will be on the same page to know how to present and what to present. All of that information will be available to them. And that's it.
Okay. Now we'll do commission. We met 2 meetings, one group met short-term goals, the other one met long-term goals. Are you catching something?
Yes,
I
allergies.
think it caught me. My allergies are going crazy.
I have a vitamin C tablet.
She's giving it away.
Do you want a vitamin C tablet?
I'd like to.
Oh, well, if it's allergies, I understand.
It is what it is.
It's just, gosh, everybody's has these horrible colds and flu and.
Get by without having one. Pretty lucky.
I haven't, and I wanna stay that way.
I haven't either, and I don't feel sick, so should be good.
Become
Don't,
paranoid.
let me knock on some wood somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, so, in front of you are the proposed 2018 goals. So, what do we wanna do, Renee? Just go goal by goal?
You can,
And we're gonna have to change, for instance, the first short-term goal, the subcommittee is Alice Madrid and Dennis Jackson, so we're gonna have to take Dennis off of that and put somebody else on.
well, in the dynamics of so what I would say is first go over the goals and get the goals solidified. For both short-term and long-term. And then the next step would be to look at the action plans or develop the subcommittees and look at the action plans from there. Some of the subcommittees do have 4 people, which at this point we need to have 3 or less as there's 8 commissioners. But this isn't, in the past, the commission has taken 2 or 3 meetings to review these commissions, or to review these goals and action plans. So by that point, there's actually an application process for any incoming commissioner. So by the time you approve these goals, you might be able to stick with 4 on a subcommittee.
Just, as opposed to shuffling all these things, like, is there any possibility of a temporary assignment, a temporary person that should bring onto the division? Would that be easier?
It must go to council and the mayor must officially appoint the individual.
Did you take one person on a temporary basis to go to the mayor?
It hasn't been done.
Other things haven't been done, that can be done.
Well, and I would say this, I need to go back and look at the application to see, but the applications are currently open as of now. I'll double check to see when it's going to council, but usually it goes pretty quickly once the applications
I
are out.
understand, but an interim assignment may be quicker than that. We don't have to shuffle all of these subcommittees around.
I can look into it.
Thank you.
Okay, so the short-term goal number 1 that we're proposing is identify, promote, and meet the needs of our senior population, senior stay healthy and active. Short-term goal number 2, create annual report on the community services and senior needs. And number 3, identify the needs of Oxford and senior population and communicate available support programs and solutions. So long-term goals, number 1, move forward with the implementation of ORCA's, Oxford Recreation Center for Adults and Seniors. Number 2, support new and ongoing senior programs, including the opening of Colonia Senior Center. And number 3, develop marketing plans for senior services. So I guess we should look at short-term goals first. And just looking at it, how do we see a difference between short-term goal number 1 and short-term goal number 2?
Alice, I think we have a subcommittee that we talked about, we had a meeting.
Okay.
Report on that, but we'll do something else first. I don't know if you want.
I want to know
What's
the difference between 1 and 3?
Okay.
You were on the
Yeah.
committee.
It's myself, Jeff, Alice, and Simon, yours. And we had a meeting, and it was fairly easy. We just identified what the definition of short term is. It's totally the opposite of long term. So we said, all right, let's do this. Let's go through this first, which you given to us. That was generated by meeting with a number of the managers of the service centers. And we identified what we thought would be the objectives, short-term objectives. And under that would be the word immediate. So what we decided is what are those objectives in here that you gave us that are immediate. So that's the rest, that's what we're going to follow through. Correct, Alice? That's it.
Okay. So can you define the difference between goal number 1 and goal number 3?
What was goal number 1 and get healthy goal number 1?
Can I say that? Okay, the difference is that in number 3, you see immediate.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to, number 3, the urgent or immediate needs.
Yeah.
There's really no difference between number 1 and number 3 as far as we're concerned, the final analysis. There's no objective, we've eliminated number 2. That's already been done. So what we'll be working on is
So if you look at this page that was sent with your packet, it has the proposed 2018 goals on the top and the current 2017 goals on the bottom. So what was eliminated was review and update senior services commission application and application
But
process.
that should have been grant.
Right, so that's number 3 that was eliminated.
Number 3 previously was computer services.
So that was
that's
the
been
2016, was in 2016 and taken away in 2017.
Kathy.
No, my comment, I would just wanted to comment, but I see the difference between 1 and 3 is number one is is to serve those needs, to stay healthy and active.
Continue.
Number 3, the difference is communicate. So the number 3 is more the promotion, just like the cup thing, is how to promote that. How do we communicate to the population? And so that's the difference I see. Number 1 is how to help stay healthy. Number 3 is how do we communicate? And that's what I see as the difference.
Sure.
But the essence of what we're saying is that number 1 is universal. We were trying to be more specific and identify the immediate. Correct, Alice? I'm sure, saying the right thing.
So let me throw this out. Is it possible to combine number 1 and 3 and within the action plan, break it apart so that's one direction, or to simply say promote the needs of senior population? Since number 3 is identifying the needs, I don't know.
And yes, what we're saying, number 3 is important. Of all the 3 that you mentioned there. And the other, number 1, is universal. That's a given. They're just addressing the the third part, which is the immediacy of the problem, whether it be food, whether it be transportation, whatever it may be. As far as number 1, that's universal. That should be being done by everyone in the program, in the commission. That's our position. Alice? I'm saying the right thing?
Say it too.
Maybe, the needs should be,
Excuse me?
in number 1, it says meet the needs. Maybe it should be in number 3, goal.
You're saying meet the needs should be taken out of 1.
Identify the need, yeah, and identify the needs.
Well, what our subcommittee has agreed upon is we're going to be addressing number 3.
But that subcommittee looked at all short-term goals, so 1, 2, and 3. So that what the commission is doing now is, do you want to adopt 1, 2, and 3 as is?
These are what they used to do, these are what you're used to do.
As far as I'm concerned, we still want to stick with number 3 only. But if you want us to do something different, we can. Alice?
So, okay, so am I hearing that, of course, you want only 1 short-term goal?
That's such an important goal that we don't have to water it down with 2 or 3 others. Again, if the commission wants us to do more, we can. I'm just saying that in our meeting, that's what we said, that's what we honed in on, was number 3, number 3, excuse me. And again, with the help of Alice and what she had done with the managers of the different service centers, that was very helpful also. So what we did, I'm not articulating my position as well as I'd like to. What we did was we took this, and we took this, which Alice gave us, and we said, right, based on this, based on the overall needs, we said, we're just going to address ourselves to the immediate situation, such as food, transportation, family caregivers. So we checked it all over here, and we came up with a few of them. That's it. We can change that.
So in this is where I'm trying to clarify. Again, this is commission goals, so I'm just trying to hear you out. In the past, the commission has had 3, 4 short-term goals. But based off of this subcommittee, your suggestion is to only move forward with 1 short-term number goal, which is number 3. Is that what you're saying?
Just because we did it in the past, okay, doesn't mean that we have to do it in the future.
So that is what you're saying, just
That's what
number
we're
3.
suggesting, yeah. If the commissioner suggests that we're not doing it the right way, you can adopt that and change.
I think I think that it's important that we keep the annual report on there because
Keep what?
the annual report on there.
I'm not saying we should throw it away, I'm just saying we're gonna be concentrating on
Okay.
what we're gonna be concentrating on. The annual report is the annual, that's what Alice, that's what I was saying earlier. There are things that are universal, the annual report, the awareness, and stuff like that. Those are all universal things. We're trying to be more specific to our particular needs of the seniors and the particular objectives that we have.
Should you move number 3 to number 1? You know, since that's,
We have that, yeah.
okay, but
Well, I really like the idea of going to the neighborhood councils. And that kind of would be a safe, to set up a process so that the neighborhood councils know about senior centers and know about, that's number 2. You know, that was number 1, the very specific visit interim neighborhood councils and ask.
That was the promote of number 1.
Yeah, that could be left as the short-term goal, because it is a short-term goal. I'm hoping you set up a process, so every, quarter, somebody shows up there and talks to them, and they know that there's all the programs that are going on. Because there's a real resource, I think, for people to find the seniors and who never, we never hear about it, they never get out and talk about their needs.
So with that, could number 1 simply say, and it could be whatever number you want, promote the needs of senior population to help seniors stay healthy and active?
Be more specific, we'd be more specific, because short-term goals should be very, very specific. So I would say to, somehow about help satisfy one of the needs of the senior population by making them more aware of all the programming through the neighborhood councils. Get very specifically get the neighborhood councils. So that is something that committee will work on and we'll support.
I mean, repetitive, but there's nothing sacrosanct about 3. All that we're saying in Article we met is that the importance of the situation's immediacy. And we're just addressing the immediate situation. You want to have 3, you want to have 10, fine, but the more goals you have, the more goals you have, the more watered down each one is going to be. Our position was to concentrate on the 1. Again, if the commission wants to change it, fine, we can have 10.
I have a comment. And number 3 goes along, it says the last communicate available support programs and solutions. That would be part of, like you said, the neighborhood.
Oh, and that's
Promoting them.
Although that does relate back to the critical needs, not potentially what we're doing within the senior centers.
I agree with what Al is saying, that, number 1 and 3 are so close. And I would like to make a suggestion to add a 3rd goal, and that 3rd goal, to combine 1 and 3, and then the 3rd goal would be something referring to the, for us to visit the grantee and that whole process, because I like at the end of the year that this is what we've accomplished. So the same as like number 2, create an annual report of community services for the senior. That's ongoing. That's an every year thing. Well, every year, one of the most important things that we do is to go out and visit, the different people that are going to ask for the grants, and we visit them. They come in and talk to us, and then we talk about that. I would like to see that as one of the ongoing short-term goals.
It shouldn't be a short-term goal. It should be an ongoing.
No, it's the
universal
same as
goal.
number 2. It's the same as create an annual report.
I don't agree with number 2.
Okay, well, I'm saying is that, so as another, to go and replace it, and, that is such an important part. That is the one thing that we do every year, whether, unless we say short-term / ongoing goals. Maybe we change that, so we've got the long-term goals, but those are ongoing, but that is something that we accomplish, and we spend time to do. We listen to that, we talk about it, about the grants, and we have a lot of discussion, yet it's not in our goals. So I would like to see that defined as one of our goals.
I think the difference between short-term and long-term, if you look at the way they're broken out on the action plan, the short-term is something that's, I think, defined within a year, where the long-term is ongoing.
I bet the difference in short term means something which is immediate within the year and critical That's what we hung our hat on.
Right.
Immediacy and critical. As a matter of fact, that's what it actually says here. Identify the immediate and critical needs. And then going through here, we address that, and we said, yeah, that's what we should be doing. The other is all universal. Kathy's saying, of course, we have to do, but it's being done not in one particular committee, but it's a universal objective.
Well, and so in the way, so this is, I think about this in two regards. You know, this create an annual report on community services, senior needs. I don't see that going away. That's gonna be done year after year. That's a report that's taken to city council. It's at your discretion, to take it to city council. Ellis, presented it this past few weeks, last week. I don't see it going away. By it being on these goals and having a subcommittee assigned to it, we do have to agendize it. We have to put out a special agenda for it. And is that the angle that this commission wants to take? Is, you know, by having this annual report, is that something that you want to open up to the community to say, we're meeting on this and you're welcome to come in and give your input on an annual report that's going to go to council? Because that's, you know, by moving forward with these goals that have stuck around for over a year, now we're gonna have to agendize it. Any of these subcommittees. Now, number 3 has some changes. This next year, every time that subcommittee meets, there does not need to be a special agenda sent out. Commissioners get together, work on that goal. So, you know, if something like the grantee, you know, going out,
The
a
application
commissioner,
process.
that still is ongoing. So does it need to become a goal where it's gonna be ongoing year 2, year 3? Short-term goals are something that you wanna have an end date to. So, you know, that's something to look at. Is there an end date to number 2?
It's ongoing, I mean, that's what I think, perhaps, you know, that we should break them down, short-term, ongoing, and long-term.
It's number 2, the one that you just pretended to present it to city council.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's there.
Who's responsible for that text? You, Alice, number 2?
So this year's subcommittee was Ellis.
The presentation you made on Tuesday, who put
Okay.
that together?
Renee put it together.
Okay.
In the past, we've had all these interim supervisors. And Greg to do it. And so he put it together and we gave him input and he did it. Then, you know, all the changes, I mean, Renee came in, it was great, we were thrilled to have Renee. She didn't know anything about the annual report, and about February, I said, Renee, we haven't done an annual report. She said, well, what's that? And so then we did it, but if we don't put it down, I'm afraid it's not.
Been done historically.
I'm not saying we shouldn't do that, obviously, it's something that should be done every year, and it has been for the last couple of years. All that I'm saying is that from a concentration point of view, we would like to just concentrate on the one thing which is immediate and critical. All the other stuff is universal, of course it should be done. I'm not saying that it should be done, we're saying that the committee itself should only be addressing this, which is very, very important, because it's critical and it's immediate.
I guess some of us disagree with you, so that's why the committee has to decide as a committee what we want to do.
Sure.
And Alice, if I can, I've probably got more longevity than anybody else here. Senior services. This was not always done. It wasn't done when Jocelyn Peterson was the senior services supervisor. There was never a report done. I think if you put it on paper, whether it's ongoing or short-term or however you do it, you kind of institutionalize, it's not the right word, but it makes it official that you're gonna do it. Because it hasn't
No
ever
one's
been done.
denying that we should do that report every year. We should do that report every year. I wasn't there this year, but last year, the response from the city council and the mayor is very, very good, especially when you relate it to the number of hours. Maybe I'm not, for some reason, I'm not communicating it I apologize. We're not saying none of this should not be done. What we're saying is that, number one, that which we're saying, you think we're saying should not be done, is being done somewhere, okay? And all that we're saying is that we want to concentrate on number 3, which is immediate and critical. Alice, help me wrong.
So are you saying you
No,
want
no,
number?
He's saying eliminate everything except number
I'm not saying
That's
it's
what
bad, we're not gonna do it.
Well,
Someone's doing it.
Well, we have the that will involve different initiatives. So, but anyway, getting back to the difference between, my question was the difference between number 1 and 3. Can we perhaps word them a little differently?
Well, what we'll do is, we'll word
committees.
them differently, okay, to address number 3. We'll take 1, 2, and 3, put it all together. And the primary objective of 1,
We
2,
don't
and
agree
3.
with you on that.
No.
We wanna keep 1, 2, and 3 on.
But just, 1 starts identify, 2, 3 starts identify. Can you reword that? So they,
Wasn't number 1 universal? Isn't number 1 our primary objective?
No,
Why we're
no.
here in the first place?
But we still vote, I anyway would like still to see it as a short-term goal. So you see how that's where I differ with you. And as a committee, we just have to agree on, do we have 3 goals or just 1? You're saying we should have just 1.
You got to with a caveat. I'm saying we should just have 1, but the other 2 goals are universal.
how
Those 2
about,
goals
all right,
are there.
how about number 3, if you put address immediately? Instead of identify.
Just identify. You want to do more than just
Well, we're not
identify.
much, but it's immediate, you don't want to address
Well,
it.
that's why she's asking you to reword that, and maybe go back to a committee meeting and reword that to address, because immediate, identify, you want to do more than identify.
Well, I want to go back to this. Okay?
Yeah.
This, and what Alice did. Alice, help me, if I do anything wrong, I was saying what we agreed upon. Okay. I want to make sure I'm representing 4 of us, except for Jeff, of course, he's not here. Hey, you want to have 3? Fine, we can have 5, whatever you want. Whatever the committee wants, whatever the committee wants to do, we can have 10. All right, but I'll stop after this last statement, is that everything else that's on here, 1 and 2, are universal, they're being done, they should be done. There's no reason why they should be modified, because it's being done the right way in the future. Past, what we're saying is regularly less immediate and critical. Again, based on this, what you gave me.
Those are only,
I know they're only, but it's still a starting point. And what Alice came up with also.
Suggest, if we just use the word address.
We can do
can
whatever you
I
want.
suggest?
Yeah.
On number 3, instead of identify, but address? No?
Or action.
Okay.
That's fine.
Because 1 and 3,
That's more immediate.
you're right, 1 and 3 start with identify,
Yeah,
and 3.
I just want it to be,
I like.
okay,
That's
that's
my
all,
opinion,
yeah.
it's just one opinion.
Okay. So, leave number 3, but change identify to address immediate and critical needs.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, so then that kind
Gives it a little separation.
of, it,
We're gonna go further than that.
you go into your action plan too.
Our objective, of course, is to address and to implement programs, whatever we can do, to address the immediate critical needs of the seniors.
That's not,
Right, Alice?
that's not what this says.
I don't care what that says.
Well, I'm wondering if you wanted to identify.
At our next meeting, we'll change. Okay?
It's gonna be done now, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
Well,
So-
addressing it seems to point to actually looking for funding, or looking for programs that actually answer these immediate and critical needs. Because by addressing them and communicating available support, if you don't have something, then you're not really addressing. So I'm wondering if there's
Satisfies.
thought.
What about if we
Address
start,
and satisfy.
I like action words, different action words, and I like this, what I like in here is that word communicate. What if you started off, communicate and meet immediate and critical needs? So, what if you started it that way, instead of address or identify, communicate and meet? So they communicate with us, and then you try to meet them.
Or satisfied, where I come address is satisfied.
Well, we can't all be satisfied.
Well, of course not.
I mean,
That's our
somebody comes in
objective.
and they're homeless and, you
But that's our objective, to address and satisfy.
Okay.
Satisfied, I think, is too subjective.
Some people are never satisfied. Okay, so Kathy, you wanna put communicate?
maybe communicate and meet immediate and critical needs of Oxnard's senior population
I like
for available support programs and solutions.
Communicate
And meet.
and meet. What do committees say?
I like that.
Critical would be the rest of it.
Immediate and critical needs.
So we would delete communicate.
Yeah, you don't need,
You just eliminate, identify, and put communicate and meet immediate.
needs
Right.
of Oxnard senior. For, and then you change it, you don't want that to repeat again. For available support programs and solutions.
Immediate critical needs of our population. Cross out the. Oh, yeah. Okay. What do you think, Al? Communicate and meet immediate and critical needs of Oxnard senior population for available support programs and solutions.
The word really should remain identified. We don't know what they are. We have to identify what their immediate needs are, immediate critical needs are.
We don't know it.
Yeah, right.
We have to identify first.
We have to identify first. We don't know.
We don't know.
That's the essence of this, that you gave out, Alice. Okay?
Well, that could, so with that, if you were to leave the word address, communicate, meet,
I'm sorry.
within the action plan, step 1 could be identified. So this is just basically a large picture of what the action plan. So identifying is going to be step 1. So
Would be your strategy.
and then step 2 will be to communicate or address or meet. But what word can be the overall picture for this entire goal?
I guess what I'm getting lost is that, is it the objective to put this down today, or do you want to leave it up to the subcommittee at one of our next meetings? I'm just asking.
It has to be adopted by the commission. Now, whether we do it today,
Right. Why don't the subcommittee meet again with Jeff and the rest of us? We'll review what we have discussing here today, okay? And then we'll come back with what we are recommending as the short-term goals. Maybe 1, and maybe 8, maybe 3, and maybe keeping this exactly as it is. But the word identified is critical, because we don't know what the problems are.
In number 1, it says meet the needs. Number 2 it says immediate and critical.
Right.
So are those the same needs?
No, where would you, yeah, we
It's
want to
only says
address,
needs.
right. Want to address the immediate and critical.
Immediate.
yeah.
well then, why don't you go back to your committee and just, the commission wants more definition between 1 and 3 as far as words,
That's fair.
as far as words. Not the goal itself, but as far as words. Okay?
It's your call.
Okay.
But to relate word further, the objective of the subcommittee is not to come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but come up with what we think is the best. Are we being forced to come up with 3?
We felt when we did this a couple of years ago that we could pick 3 short-term and 3 long-term.
Well, what's so sacrosanct about three? Why
Because
not
we
four?
started out with, how many?
Long list.
When I wrote one of my memos, foolish consistency is a hobgoblin of blue lines. We're not locked into three or two or one. Well, the subcommittee will come back with a recommendation, which will have to be reviewed and approved by the committee. Okay, the final answer will be the committee. Is that
The
right?
commission.
Commissioner, excuse me. Yeah.
Okay, so moving along, long-term goals. Number one, move forward with the implementation of ORCAS. And after the meeting, Kathy and Mark, Renee suggested that maybe we better, I wanted to put ORCAS in there, but she said, maybe we better put the new senior center rather than ORCAS. And that
Well,
was.
you can include orcas, it's not a matter of eliminating, but at this point, the elimination of the end goal, which is the new senior center, has been eliminated from that goal. So is the end goal to develop a nonprofit, or is the end goal to develop a new senior center?
Develop a new senior center.
So we'll move
The
forward.
ORCA is a method to get that to happen.
And again, this is your communication between you and city council on what are the important items for seniors? And is the important item developing a nonprofit or developing a new senior center?
If you look down here, long-term goal number one, last year was seek and obtain the approval of city management, the community and city council to move forward with plans to build a new state-of-the-art senior center. Well, we've done that, you know.
Technically, we haven't got public in it, but certainly the city, and we're working on all the government officials. Yeah.
Right. So, so number one, this year, move forward, build a new state-of-the-art senior center. And how would we, put ORCAS in?
And support the implementation of orcas?
And,
Yeah, number 7.
okay,
So say it again.
okay, just a minute.
Well, it could be number 3. Could be, have the word ORCAS, because that's the purpose of ORCAS, is to do the fundraising.
Well, but that can be in the strategy. Move forward with plans for a new state-of-the-art senior center. I'm doing this for, and support.
I don't think we need to add anymore. I think that just period there. I don't think the ORCAS has to be involved. That could be one of the action plans. So,
Yeah, that.
on the
will be-
committee, I think just end it there. I think make it
Okay.
simple.
Okay,
So move forward with the,
With the development versus plans, with the development of a new senior center? Or plans?
Planning,
I like plans.
Because that covers it broadly.
Yeah.
Okay.
move forward with plans for a new state-of-the-art senior center. So that's goal number one. And then goal number 2, support new and ongoing senior program, including reopening the Columbia Senior Center. And I want to leave the Columbia Senior Center in there because we don't want to.
We don't want that forever forgotten.
And then number 3, develop marketing plan for senior services, which is in the works right now. So,
And so that's staff focus. A marketing plan eventually lies on staff, the execution of it, the development of it. These are commission goals, not staff goals. So let me just, whereas before, create an awareness of the senior population and their needs, that has the involvement of the commission. Here, this number 3, that's, in the end, it's gonna end up, it's our responsibility to make sure that that marketing plan is executed, the development of getting these executed. Now, will we have input? Yes. But I think the way that it's worded, this is staff driven.
Why don't you identify the staff?
What's that?
Why not
This isn't
identify?
a commission goal.
Yeah, it's.
These are commission goals, not staff goals.
But the staff is gonna do that.
So,
Maybe I misunderstood.
right, our
Yes, I
goals,
misunderstood.
our goals are not commission necessarily. So these are not commission goals are driven by the commission.
Maybe it's overview of the development of market plan, senior service staff. I mean, who's gonna be doing that? The staff?
Staff,
Okay, so why is it even here then, if the staff is doing it?
that's what I was saying.
That's her question.
Unless you want, now exactly, is the staff gonna develop it, number one? Yes. Is the staff gonna review it for approval with the Senior Services Commission?
No.
No. So the staff will develop it, and that will be it?
Well, we go to the commission for advisement, but not for approval. The commission's role between the commission and staff is to advise.
I said, either eliminate it or use the word approval, not approval, excuse me, review, whatever you want to do. It's not a.
You know, it was an outgrowth of the long-term
And you
goal last year.
you could keep number 3 as is. You don't need to necessarily change it.
Why would
We
you
did
do that?
2017.
Right.
If you remember, that was our committee that we just kept meeting and meeting and meeting, and finally, Mary Sue got this relationship never done. And so now, but we were the squeaky wheels, we said, we need to do something, and now staff is doing it, but aren't we still gonna be part of the discussion?
Definitely, and so it came out of number 3. That progress has come out of number 3.
All I'm asking is, the staff's gonna do this, number one. Number two, will it be reviewed for approval
No,
with the commission? The staff will do it, number one, okay?
yes,
The commission is not involved at all? Yes,
Some
or no?
ideas, yeah. some
Right.
Ideas.
you can provide input, but there's no approval by commission.
Then use, so what the commission is not gonna develop it, the commission will do whatever they're gonna do in conjunction with the staff.
When I take this back to the subcommittee that discussed this originally, I take this back to the subcommittee that discussed the long-term goals originally. What angle did the subcommittee
I'm just being
want?
semantical, I'm trying to be semantic, I know this, the way it's written now is not what you're saying. I'm hearing two different things, I'm seeing this rather, and I'm hearing you say that. You're saying it's fine, I agree with that. But then I think you have to change number 3. What is the function of the committee vis-a-vis the staff office? That's what I'm saying. What is the function of the committee?
It was to create awareness of the senior population and their needs.
No, number 3, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
And that was our goal last year, in 2017. And so now staff has taken it.
I understand that. But if somebody were walking here right now, and they read the long-term goal number 3, it would be read as the commission is to be put into the market.
Yeah, and Renee was just pointing out that we probably need to revise.
That's what I'm saying. Why am I having 5 foot?
Well, you're repeating everything that we're saying.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
Good, then it must be true.
So, but you're not listening.
I'm listening.
Okay. So perhaps we go and
Put it back into more of the create awareness kind of program. Creating awareness, so you got one plan going. There may be another, to move on another plan, this year. But I don't think it should be forgotten, because I think this is a great thing that you're doing with this kind of thing. Because so many people just don't know that there's even senior centers,
Okay, so we'll go back and meet with our subcommittees for our short-term, long-term goals with bearing in mind the recommendations from.
I guess I'm still stuck a little bit on my earlier suggestion about somewhere in here. I see, now that I've been on the committee for 3 years, that the most important, the one thing that we really do, which is to go over and have the ability to, where is this $46,000 going to go? It's nowhere on our goals. It's the one thing that we really, really have been given that idea of how to designate that. And we spend time going there, we listen to the people here, we discuss it at a couple meetings, and it's not on a goal.
And you'd like
And
to see
I would like to see it as a goal, whether it's ongoing. And that's why I see that, so that, and instead of these kind of goals that are sometimes, where you really are not concrete, that you don't really do, this we do every year. This we go to the, to the city hall and make a presentation. This is one thing that we do, and it's the one thing that we've been authorized to do, and I would like to see it somewhere on our goals.
Okay. I agree.
I think that maybe we need a third category, because when you're looking at goals, generally it's something that has not been accomplished yet. And you're looking at, let's say, the grant process, that's ongoing.
It's ongoing, as is the, number 2, you're going to the community, so maybe
Well,
a third category.
The other is, number 2 on the short-term goals, is create annual reports. That's ongoing, because that's been established. So it's not necessarily a goal, unless we want to say the goal is to continue to implement those things that are already in place. I mean, that seems a little bit too much of a construction of words. The other thing is that we do have some things on short-term and long-term that have not been met, so they should be put in the category of a goal. But I think that there's, and especially number 2, and also what Kathy was mentioning about grants, those are ongoing, so they don't necessarily need to be placed as a goal, but they do need to be addressed. That it's something that the commission is doing and should continue.
We don't want forgotten.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you would have long-term, short-term, and ongoing.
Yes.
Is that something, is it, actually these goals are part of
And you don't even need.
the mayor's one
if he just-
suggestion
his
for
was,
the commission?
He didn't care, he just wanted to
Yeah.
set goals.
But you don't necessarily have to have it as part of the goals. It just needs to be part of, let's say, the obligation of the commission to continue the programs that we've already established, and then to look at these long-term and short-term goals as something that needs to be accomplished.
I like
So
that.
that's what I was suggesting earlier, is that there are some universal things that we're doing all the time. Why didn't have it in there? Exactly what I'm saying. Thank you. The
Okay.
universal, we're doing, we have to do it, and they've been successful.
Yeah, that, it's starting to make more sense. You just have to talk
Now,
this
listen,
out. And so our ongoing goals would be the annual report and the
Grant process.
review of the.
Because we've got a great process going now. I really like what they revision of all that grant process. It's just great.
And this year's focus, with the commission's advice has been to really bridge the agencies and build that awareness amongst one agency to another. So that can easily, and it's already being implemented by the reception. That was a suggestion by the commission. So in development of a goal, it's already being accomplished at this point, and it's something that would be notable to city council come next year's report.
The other thing that I was thinking about, there was this discussion on number 3 for the long-term goals, is to possibly change the wording of the word develop to coordinate with staff the marketing plan. That leaves it very open as to what the responsibility of the commission is, not distract from the obligation of staff as far as developing.
I like that.
Well, that's not what I heard Renee say. Maybe I didn't hear you correctly. I heard her say that the staff will be developing it, and they'll be virtually no input from the commission.
No,
But
it
she
is-
also said,
What you said,
the commission will not be approving it, is what
will
I
not
said.
be approving it.
Correct. I did not say that the
Oh,
commission will
and-
not provide input. The commission can provide input.
When and how?
That's part of the action plan.
Okay.
You know, if there's no timeline on it at this point. It's, what my statement is as the way this is written, this is stating that the commission is gonna develop a marketing plan.
That's not correct.
Correct.
Okay.
yeah, because we can wind up working with staff,
Right.
which will not detract from their end result.
Right.
They will be considering our input, but it's not a directive that they have to imply it or work with it. But they can consider it, and that may or may not be part of their final draft.
And when and how will the staff accomplish the objective of getting input from the commission?
On an ongoing basis.
Yeah, we'll
It's similar to how we've executed number 3 here this past year. We meet with that subcommittee
So-
and
we spell it out when we go into strategies. Kathy, how would you word the ongoing goal for the grant review?
Something like to visit, review, and suggest grants for various community agencies, something like that. I'd have to work on it a little bit more, but, you know, it would be the whole process, you know, to try to, you know, so I have to work on it just a little bit more.
So your suggestion is that we've got 2 elements to the grants. The process that we're using at this time, and also with developing a more inclusive or additional implication or whatever, I can't think of the words at this point. But try to expand the grant process. So it'd really be two separate things, one a goal and the other an ongoing process. The ongoing process is what we're doing presently.
Yeah.
But you're talking about implementing or considering something else that's going to expand our consideration of.
Perhaps just like she was saying earlier about, you know, about what's going on at the end of this month, of getting the agencies together. So,
Right.
So what I would suggest on this is that we, since this would be a new goal, that we put a couple of people on it, on that as a goal, and that they can meet and then bring back next time the wording on it.
Actually, you know, if you look at 2017, number 3, short-term goal, had to do with the grant process. So
And that
it's
was,
not really new, we're just,
and that was because then we got the, you know, the criteria of what we were going to do when we went out and how it was going to be reviewed. So, you know, it is, I think it's a very important part of what we do. And I think it needs to be somewhere on our goals, so.
and then we would, when we do that, then we take number 2 of short-term goals, we take it out of there and put it on.
Alice, I think we're getting a little fragmented and disjointed right now. We're gonna come up with 7-hump camel. We don't want a 7-hump camel. Maybe we should have, not at this meeting today, but we should just, now, we've all had a lot of input. Candace's input is good. I'd like to believe that mine is good also. Maybe we have to go back and just say, wait a second, let's look at the short-term and long-term goals a little differently than we had before and finalize them in concrete, so to speak. Not that they're not here, but I think that the comments are suggesting that maybe this may not be the best way to go.
We have our little,
We have a goals committee.
you have, okay,
Something.
short-term goals, were Al, Alice, Lourdes, and Jeff, right? So taking what we had to say today, go back and revisit, and then report back to us next month.
So, to keep less than quorum, it needs to be 3 individuals that are meeting within these. So can we remove 1 individual from each of them and that
Put it on
individual
ongoing.
ongoing, right?
Okay, so you choose how you want to do that. So you have Al, Alice, Jeff, and Al.
Want us to eliminate one person?
Well, one person will move on to the ongoing.
And Renee, you don't want to look at the possibility of speaking to the mayor about an interim basis?
I don't see it happening, but I will check into it.
Well, maybe we
Okay,
should do that before we eliminate somebody from the committee. No?
Well,
We want to get the goals finalized, and that will delay that. I'd rather just meet next and go on, because City Hall sometimes takes much longer than you think, even for asking for an interim. This is a new thing, so they'll have to refer it back to the city manager, and he'll have to refer it to 3 or 4 employees, and by the time they get back, it may be 4 months for your interim kind of thing. I'd like to see something keep going as far as getting our goals.
I agree. I
Okay.
think it's worth the review with the mayor. Just check it out. That
Well,
was
she
the rules.
said she would,
Right, yeah,
yeah, but let's keep going with our goals anyway.
Yeah.
the concurrent.
okay. So
Yeah, that's-
which one of you wants to step? Shall we put Jeff, since he's not here, put him on ongoing goals? Okay.
No, I like it. I think we should keep Jeff on this hearing. Jeff, reviewing. I like that.
Kathy, are you interested in jumping ship from the long term and going into ongoing?
We only have 3 on the long term right now.
For this,
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay.
Would you like to be on this?
Yourself?
Is this okay?
Okay, are,
For
okay,
what?
You were on long term? Yeah, she just was sick, she was sick last time.
Yeah,
Which is why she wasn't at that meeting.
Okay.
I was wondering that.
Okay, well, do you want me then to go
No,
on?
I'm fine to go, I'm fine to go, because I want to work on this since it was, I'm like pretty like, let's get this back on somehow, so I'm fine to do that.
All right. So now which one of the 4 of you want to go to
ongoing.
ongoing? Okay. Lourdes, do you want to switch to ongoing goals?
There's no games, there's no, I had the short-term goals. I already listed all the short-term.
Okay, well, Kathy needs somebody to work with her on
Oh,
ongoing.
okay, I can do on
So Lourdes and Kathy.
Okay, so we're gonna have 3 meetings this next month. One for short-term goals, and that'll be Al, Alice, and Jeff. And one for long-term goals, that'll be Clark, me, and Kay. And then one for ongoing goals, which will be Kathy and Lourdes.
So Alice was my contact to send me the info from, or the results from the long-term goals. Jeff was my contact for short-term goals. Keep them that way, or
Yes.
what do you think? And Kathy, will you send me, and one of you will communicate with Jeff about me? Okay.
Okay, and then, everybody did this too.
There was some updates, but not overall, no.
So when you do it, then flesh out the action plan too, if you can. So, it's all a process, so, and I don't think we need to vote.
No, because we're not gonna be working on final product. Kathy, I'll send you a blank action plan so you can work through that. And, Alice and Jeff, I'll send these.
And there are action plans that were previously created. So,
And the number 2, we'll just keep it the same way, so it's really just to develop one, because the number 2 from the create, we're just moving it up to there, so that one's already done, so it's only one that I'm working on.
okay. Clear as mud, right?
Right, I just, I was thinking, now what
But
about?
I like that idea, Clark, because, yeah. It really isn't a short-term goal, the annual report, it's an ongoing,
Universal.
yeah. So that's good. All right. New business, senior services programs.
So I'll go ahead and bring that over to, Mary Sue first on that one.
somewhere. I brought with me announcements, the LGBT Aging Mission, or Aging Coalition that I'm on, they're having a networking meeting on February 21st, which I thought y'all might be interested in. There's an attorney from, who's he from? Justice and Aging, who will be there to discuss some of the issues that our LGBT aging population encounters. So I thought it might be of interest to y'all, so I thought I'd bring that. We had new bone builders training on January 30th. I think we trained about, I think, 3 men from the admin town. I think we trained about 6 or 7 new instructors for bone builders. We also had a buddies train, and we trained, I think, 4 there. And this coming weekend, I have my Tai Chi training for new instructors and refresher for the existing training instructors. So I'm still recruiting for that. We had a hard time getting anything in the newspapers. And kind of disappointed how much coverage we've gotten or haven't gotten. So I asked the best place that I put stuff is Nextdoor. Nextdoor.com. I got responses on that. I had a volunteer put it up in Camarillo. Because I live in Ventura, I put it in Ventura, and I used our Oxnard Senior Services to put it up here in Oxnard. So if you know anybody, we're still looking for people to come to the training Friday and Saturday. It is all day, 9 to 4:30. And it's pretty arduous. This is, as I tell people when I screen them, that this is the hardest part of it, is getting through 2 full days of standing and moving and exercising. But after that, I only want them to do it for an hour and a half at a time. So, and I don't know what else. I think that's enough. Lots of stuff going on.
Now, Mary Sue, what about your annual lunch?
It will be in April this year, and I do need to, I'm looking at April 26th. I haven't started the process of going to bid for that yet, but.
Because it always happens kind of, if you want door prizes, now is the time to start.
I could use help with lunching and getting door prizes. I haven't come up with the theme. I haven't done anything for it. But you're right. We should have started back in November.
Because next meeting, we're gonna have this in March, and
Okay, well, I could use help with door prizes, that's for sure. And I have a letter that I put together every year that you can pick out.
well, as soon as you can get the 11 together, we'll start. And
I mean, I think we have to compliment Catalina. It seems to be a hub of activity in a lot of things, more so than Shore, more so than Oxnard. Here's something over here. Last week, we were invited to the hospice program in Camarillo. And then in our newsletter that we get at there was a whole page of activities, okay, that were available for seniors. Now, one thing on there, I forgot to bring it, one thing on there that was taking place in Oxnard was all Camarillo, most of Camarillo, and then Ventura. So I don't know if they have more money than we do, they're smarter than we are, whatever it is, they're doing an excellent job.
They have nothing to do with this.
Right.
They're hosting it.
Well, so
They don't even have anybody on the
we
committee
didn't
that.
host it, Jordan didn't host it, that's the point I'm making, is that there seems to be a hub of activity in Camarillo. And I'm applauding them.
Well, and the demographics are much different from Camarillo to Oxnard as far as age goes. The senior population is much greater in Camarillo, so that's why you see a lot of these agencies tend to.
Greater than here,
Yes.
we only have 62,000 people, we have 210,000 people.
But the percentage.
I understand that.
They got the village.
Yeah.
I still applaud them.
And so with our, on this note, we actually have our calendars going out to various agencies, but we do have it also sent to the president of your board also. So whether or not they're including it is.
We may need a little pipeline to the person who puts your newsletter together to get our information in.
All right, Leanna, you're
All right. So tomorrow is our big Valentine's Day luncheon at all three of our centers. Our theme is we love our volunteers. So we're gonna honor our volunteers that work hard at our centers almost on a daily basis, honestly. So we have 17 that we're gonna honor at South Oxnard, 34 here, and we have one at May. So, but she's a steadfast.
It's a huge average salary.
Yes, she does. Yeah, she actually came through Project IUDA. She finished her hours and just stayed on with us. So we really appreciate her. So we're gonna have a nice luncheon, and our certificates and a little keychain as well. Says Oxnard Community Services volunteer on it. So it'll be a really nice luncheon. We also have a new Zumba instructor who started, and they're through the Ventura County Public Health Care Agency, and they came, and so far I've heard good reviews on them. They actually did a health screening before for the participants who started in the class, and she comes 2 times a week. It's free for the participants, and then I think in April she's going to do a post-health screening, see if anything's changed in people's blood pressure, weight, that type of thing. So
Where is that?
here at Wilson, yeah. And then Oxnard Fire Department is actually presenting at Palm Vista on the 22nd at 11 a.m. It's gonna be a safety presentation for the participants. We're gonna hopefully get people from the housing building to come downstairs and, come and join us, for good information, and other locations, here at SOC, the dates are to be determined, sorry. Because obviously Oxnard Fire Department has been busy, but we're gonna get them back on our calendar. But so far we have this 22nd of this month at 11 at Palm. And then lastly, I just want to say I went with Fernando and did a home visit through the senior nutrition program. He went in to assess, just kind of how their fridge, freezer works, if they have a microwave, that type of thing. I went to 3 different homes with him, and honestly, it was very, I know Renee's on the floor, but it's very eye-opening. Just what people are struggling with, how they are so grateful for the program, and just, Fernando has a great way of explaining the program to them, and, the donation, he doesn't put any pressure on anybody for donations, and just explain it really well, and everybody was just so grateful. And one man had his hospital bed in his living room, and his wife was just trying to figure out how to basically feed him and meet their needs. So it was just really eye-opening. I just want to share that too. And that's honestly all I have right now.
Are there plans yet for a spring dance that you will be having?
Spring dance.
Cinco de Mayo. So last year was Cinco.
Last year was Cinco de Mayo, and
Oh,
it's,
yes.
and it's better to plan it in
Yes.
springtime,
I
better,
think it's
because the summer
May
didn't work very well.
11. We're combining Cinco de Mayo and Mother's Day.
We did talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll come back with something. And just the last item of business for the senior services programs and events. For those of you that are on our social media, I'm sure and I've seen some of you like the different posts, but we've really tried to, part of the marketing was to improve our social media visibility. So for those of you that have seen, I hope you've seen the difference in postings these past 2 weeks.
Alice and I are always liking.
I
I see Alice likes
the
it.
comments.
And the best part is the more you like it, the more we post, the more visibility we'll get in the Facebook, Instagram world. It's all about numbers when it comes and sharing all of that. So, like, share as much as.
Well, maybe is everybody on Facebook, or if you are, have you liked the senior services? So that you get their posting, you won't get their posting if you don't go in and like them first, or Send them, I get, yeah.
Yes.
Friend you first, the terminology I don't use. But anyway, no, I get them, I know.
Well, I see it there more frequently. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's. really-
Kim's going around to the different programs, whether, whether it's here at Wilson or Palm Vista or SOC. And she also has started live feeds, so when she is there taking pictures of the programs, she's also popping up live. And Instagram, for some reason, that's really a big thing on Instagram. I see Facebook starting to jump on the live feed, but she's also taking that, get our awareness out.
So, the subcommittee reports, Clark, do you have anything to say about BCAAA?
Yeah, just a brief thing. With the January meeting of AAA, they did general business, but it was primarily associated in the conversation and work was done on the strategic planning and so forth. They had a facilitator, Kathy Peterson, that did a great job of keeping the activity going and making notes on the chalkboard as to comments and suggestions that the various members made. And they'll be putting those together and come back to the membership or the committee in the March meeting to go over their strategic plans and recommendations. But it was a very good meeting. It ran over the 11 o'clock cutoff, which was anticipated, and continued on until a little bit before 12, and then wrapped up. Anything else?
I meet with senior nutrition. They found out they have too many committees.
Right.
And so they're starting to eliminate some of the committees, and I haven't met with optimal aging. That's something Christine Baugh shared. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that, but the senior nutrition is very interesting. We meet on a regular basis.
I found it was interesting, what Alice has mentioned is, the one committee that they're eliminating is outreach, which I feel is basically communication. And for some reason, they've eliminated that. I'm not sure what they're going to replace it with, if anything. But again, I think that AAA is having the same type of situation that we have as far as getting the word out to the senior population as to programs and various things we have to offer.
They eliminated,
We have all these subcommittees.
Yeah,
they eliminated that?
they eliminated outreach.
I think
That's
they were
probably the
gonna,
most critical need that they have.
I
Well,
think they're gonna roll it into something else.
I think so. And so we just have to see what that is into.
They have like 4 or 5 council members that are on each of these subcommittees, and nobody would come to this meeting.
Right.
They have one person show up at the outreach committee, so they decided we're gonna have to rethink that and roll it into something else. And even the nutrition committee, we had 2 months where there wasn't a quorum. So it's, it's hard because most of the people on the council also serve their communities in some capacity. And they just don't have the time to go to all these meetings, because we're required to go to the general meeting every other month and then the subcommittee meetings once a month. And we're supposed to be on 2 subcommittees.
So
So
I left, but they can't do it.
Yeah.
The BCAA, they're here, I say the same thing. They don't seem to have their act together.
They are doing lots of programs, but.
They don't seem to have their act together.
That's the way you present.
That's one of the problems that we have, is we have a lot of programs, we have a lot of good programs, there's absolutely no question about it. All of Ventura and all of them, but it's not being communicated to the population that should be communicated to. We have a plethora of services, there's no question about it, we've done a great job to relates to seniors, but if most of them, or a lot of them, or all of them, don't know all of the services that are available to them, it's pathetic. And to eliminate hopefully it's not an elimination block, but rather a step towards a better program of communication.
I think, they're rethinking it because they see that it's not effective the way it's working right now. So, anyway, that's what's going on there.
Mr. Clemens said, duh.
All right, Kay, do you have a?
No, we didn't meet last month because Kate was ill and everybody said, okay.
Right.
No one wanted to take the job on it. But we're, as I said earlier, I'll say it officially in the minutes, that we need our seed money. It's just one of the problems. We've tried, looked at a couple of grants possibility, and we can't qualify or even begin to fill out the application because we don't, or we're not we haven't completed all the process to become the nonprofit organization.
And that's been communicated up, and the city end is waiting for a fundraising plan from Orcas in order to move forward with that. I believe you're planning on attempting to go with Pepperdine, get that done.
They're not accepting the application, that's one of the
Right.
things right now.
But
So,
next semester.
yeah, they know that we're interested, because I sent them an email, and they said they be sure we got, so that they opened up.
Now, I know that we were hoping for some money from Measure O.
Yes.
And there was a Measure O oversight committee meeting. Were you able to-
Finally, after 2 years,
Yeah.
I was on that.
I'm on that committee.
Did anything come up?
No, they lumped, the previous year, Major O gave seniors 3 different kinds of programs. One was for the food, one was for the senior, staff person that you're
The project
a
manager
project manager, and one was for something else, and
for
they
the
claimed,
conceptual design.
that you hadn't spent their money, so that this year they increased the food, under food for senior services, but they increased it from one before, but didn't give any others,
For the
and
Measure O, we have, for senior nutrition, we have the same amount for Measure O.
the thing that they gave us, they increased the amount from the previous year, and or else they all lumped all of it together, but they called it food. And it was really confusing and what they did, and we were very upset. The committee was very upset with what we got. And I wanted to talk to you about that, because it was really, they put $40,000, they put food under it, and that was more than the previous year.
We've always received 40,000.
Was it?
Yes.
Well, then their report from the previous year,
So the report was inaccurate.
that must be it. I mean, it was just food.
Who's in charge of this?
Finance. Finance.
Oh, and they also, the reporting was just, we weren't, and they threw it at us when we were at the meeting. It's 3 pages of each, and, it was just very poorly done.
Yeah. Were you able to get hold of Kathy Peterson?
Yes, and she's coming to our next meeting.
Wonderful. This gal that facilitated at BC AAA was so organized.
Yeah.
She's a former
Yeah, we got
employee, and so I thought she would be a good fit.
She'll be great.
All right, so, do the commissioners have any you can report on items of interest or concern outside of the subcommittee?
I have comments. Okay, some of you know I spoke to city council about the homelessness in the seniors. You were there. Okay, our Casillas housing supervisor spoke to me in the lobby about it. And he says that the Colonial Las Cortes or something, that rally to Colonial Village is supposed to reopen in April, giving the previous residents priority to sign up. I would like to recommend that maybe somebody from him or somebody from his office have some type of presentation / workshop at one of our centers to teach our seniors how to and help them apply for this reopening. I don't know how to go about it, that's why I'm reading it up. I can contact him, whatever needs to be done.
Let me reach out to him first, and if I need your assistance,
sorry?
I'll reach out to Art.
And then he also mentioned that the plan is included for a senior center in the new reopening. It's supposed to reopen in April, but we need to know how it's got to be,
I
but
was
still
given-
hopefully it'll be this year.
By that project manager, I was given the timeline of October, but that may just be for the community center, not the housing. But I'll go.
As long as it's this year, you know,
Yeah.
It's good to keep this as all part of the conversation, because when Arturo Casillas came on board, he didn't know anything about it. And so it's just important to keep this conversation going. And so I'm glad that you mentioned the application process.
Yeah, you know, maybe at that meeting, somebody could either assist how to fill it out. Give them information about returning if they need to.
How many residents will be able to live there?
I don't know.
That's a good question. How do they calculate?
Yeah. If,
Renee will get.
Also, I have a question on the visiting schedule for the grantees. I lost my schedule from home and when I'm supposed to.
it's in your,
In the new binder,
It's in the new binder.
I've got a question for Renee.
yes.
Renee, I got an email for the Form 700 from AAA. Do we need, or do I need to fill one out for this commission?
No, not for this commission, but it's my understanding that for TAAA too.
Right.
I'll email you the presentation calendar.
Anybody else have? I wonder what's going on with the CDBG. Are we doing a grant application?
So we're gonna take 2 applications this year, thank you for asking. We're going to take back senior tech, and we're also going to go for the new Parkinson's pharmacy program. So we're in the midst of developing a Parkinson's / senior-based boxing program. There's a program called Rock Steady, and this is it's an evidence-based program that has proven that Parkinson's has been the disease, Parkinson's disease, individuals with Parkinson's disease who participate in this program, their skills improve, whether it's speech, cognitive abilities, and it's not boxing where you're boxing against one another. When you think about Parkinson's, a lot of it is memory and the repetition. So I was talking to Hank Laubacher, has Parkinson's. Some of you may know him. He's a local farmer, and he participates in the Rock Steady boxing program. And he first joined, he was very unsure about it. But the combinations, and he said the thought process of having to think about the different combinations that go along with boxing training. The shouting, the grunting has helped with his speech. Amongst the camaraderie that helps, is developed within an actual training program. But if you look up Rock Steady Boxing, they do a full certification for coaches. They you become an affiliate program, and they provide workouts, and it's proven that it helps with Parkinson's, and then we could take it to the next level. And he's paying over the hill. He is driving out to Newberry Park 2 days a week and into the Valley 2 more days a week, and paying over $100 a month for each class. We're hoping through CDBG that we'll be able to provide it for free here in Oxnard. So it will be a new program that is evidence-based. So check out Rock Steady Boxing. It will give you, there's been a lot of press. There's on that webpage, you'll find a few interviews on the news that have been done with the coaches, and the coaches are certified. We're planning on certifying some coaches to go through the program, but Cal has a boxing facility, and it's not used between the hours of 8 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. And this, right, so, we have some good individuals that will have been a product of these programs, and, Hank lives here in Oxnard, and he approached us about this program, saying how great it was, and if we could bring it to Oxnard, so we are looking into going to CDBG.
You might send an email to Carmen Ramirez, because she seemed unsure about it.
Once we get going with it, we will be going back to council to
Because
share.
Renee mentioned it at council, and Carmen Ramirez said, well, they're surely not
Boxing
one
each other.
Right.
Well, there lies a problem, to some degree, and had the same reaction. It's probably a bad choice of word. They're probably married to it, but the word boxing in today's environment, football for juniors, is probably not the best.
Right, it's hitting the heavy bag.
No, I understand.
And so will we be asked to represent senior services on the CDBG?
So I just put that in my highlighted notes. I will go ahead and Ruel is the new manager for CDBG with housing. I will email him.
Because they
Express
tend
your
to ask us at the last minute. And last year Kay was gonna do it, and then they never called you.
Right, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so, very interesting. Okay, anything you want on the future agenda? Okay,
Besides goals.
besides goals, and we'll get an update on the housing, this Colonia Center. Maybe we can have that on the agenda next time.
I have a thought, it's mechanical. Do you have a three-hole punch in your office? I do. Would you bring them to the meeting, because, we get these, and I like to put them in my book.
Or
But
just
I,
a whole bunch of people.
It's a whole bunch when they're printed.
Yeah.
oh, could they?
That'd be
Yeah,
great.
I
we
thought
can
it,
do that.
okay, because that, I had it like,
It'll make it easy, because I asked her, I get 2 sets and I asked her to hole punch one of them.
I have whole punch mine, so I'll make sure to.
I could know myself if you brought me something, because I just don't have anything at home.
And Renee did share that Caroline's husband is not well, so.
Keep her in your thoughts, and we're, limited on office staff, so if things come out a little slow or, we're definitely trying to piece together our office coverage when we go through it.
Because we usually do the different positions.
Are you close on that?
Yes. Yeah, we.
Okay. You want to make a motion to adjourn? You like it? Oh. okay.
You want to enjoy.
Then somebody else.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Clark moved, Kay seconded, that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, well, okay.
Should put you guys in there.
He's sticking around for that.